Hey peeps, Dan here again. Just got done writing an article for one of the newspapers that I write for. In case you don't know, I do write for a couple of newspapers, one of them locally. And what I wrote about was something that ran across a lot last week in talking with various people. When they were doing their weigh-ins and so on, some of them had fantastic results, some of them didn't. And in talking with the ones that didn't primarily, I kind of found that they were all kind of doing stuff maybe that they shouldn't have been. And that's not a knock on them. I mean, it just is what it is. And it's not their fault. I think a lot of times what's happening is people are so confused by the nutrition information that's out there. The latest and greatest. The media likes to hype, this latest new survey or this latest new scientific study showed that blah, blah, blah. And, let's face it, it just becomes mind numbing after a while. And so I thought I'd put together in the article my top 5 nutrition myths that people need to let go of. And I kind of felt it was so important that I wanted to share it with you guys first. And really kind of go over it because I don't control when the articles are run. It could run this week or it may not run for 6 months. Kind of odd how the news media does that stuff. My editor's a great guy, but that's what he does. So, as a nutrition coach and a trainer for however many decades it's been, I've helped thousands of people with how they eat, trying to lose weight, trying to get healthy, trying to get in shape, however you want to put it. And these 5 are pretty much what I would consider the top 5 things I've seen people do. And I'll call them mistakes because they really are. And again, I'm not faulting anyone with that. But these 5 things are what hold people back. And I wanted to go over them, and I'm just going to hopefully cover them briefly. I know I talk a lot. And I'm going to do them in reverse order of how I see people tend to use them. So number 5 is I have to starve. And I see that a lot when around here at FCFNY. People thinking that less is more. If I eat less and less and less, I'll lose more and more weight. And we're not talking about someone that's got an eating disorder. That's a whole other ball game. And frankly, if that's the case, you can speak to us and we can refer you to some fantastic folks that can help you with that. But I'm talking about highly intelligent people who really should know better, but have bought into the myth. And again, I'm not blaming them. And I've seen people consuming as little as or less than 500 calories a day. And what happens is over time, the body starts adapting to that. It goes into starvation mode, and instead of releasing fat, it'll start holding on to everything. And really what happens, and studies are starting to show this, including one that came out recently where they studied the Biggest Loser contestants, their metabolism gets messed up not just for the short term, but for the rest of their life. So when you start starving yourself to that point, it's going to affect you not just now, but in the long term. And the truth is that even if it is successful at first, and I'm going to be honest with you, generally for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks, for most people, it would be successful. You could see massive amounts of weight loss. But it's not really weight loss. A lot of it is water. A lot of it is your body just shedding certain things. And then what happens is your metabolism slows down and it starts holding on to everything. And in the long run, you actually end up gaining weight. Truth of the matter is, you don't need to be starving, nor should you be. You should never eat less than 1,200 calories a day. Male, female, doesn't matter. You need to eat at least that, and I normally don't recommend you eat that little for most of you. And it's really about small reductions. I usually recommend people 250 to 500 calories less per day than they were eating before. That's it. Pretty simple stuff, but yet people don't want to do it. They want to lose more, so they start dropping 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 less calories than they ate before. Those are real numbers, kids. I've seen them. Your goal really is to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. So how do you do that? Well, 500 calories a day reduction equates to about 3,500 calories a week, which is the generally accepted number for a pound of fat. So in theory, if you ate 500 calories less per day over the course of a week, you'd lose a pound that way. You can also burn 500 calories with exercise. Boom, there's your 1 to 2 calories per week, or pounds per week. And a funny thing happens is when you stop eating crap and you start eating real food, and I've seen this time and time and time again, you're not going to feel like you're starving. You're going to feel full. A lot of that has to do with how we metabolize the crap foods, the Twinkies at the extreme, but really any of those processed type foods that so many of us eat. So what happens is when you start eating real food, lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, that kind of thing, you feel fuller. And I've had time and time again people say to me, I cannot eat that much food. Hate to tell you, folks, you've been eating more than that if you're overweight. And that's the reality. Sometimes as many as 1 or 2,000 calories more. Seen it time and time again. Don't fall into that trap. You want to figure out what you need to eat, subtract 250 to 500 from that, and that'll get you sustained long-term weight loss done the right way. Next one, I have to diet. Now, here's the thing. No one, and I mean no one, that includes me or anybody else likes to diet. If you know somebody that is, refer them to me because they must be sick in some way. And that's the problem, is we get this negative connotation of diet. And then when we try to follow a particular one, and it doesn't matter in the least which one you're following, you feel like you're being deprived. So let's think about it for a second. When you can't have something, whatever it might be, what happens? You want it even more. Cravings come into play, and eventually you go off the rails and start binging on whatever that is. Can't have carbs, you go carb crazy. Can't have fat, you go fat crazy, so on and so forth. And as I said before, the word diet has such a negative connotation right now, and it tends to lead to the all or nothing approach. And let me tell you, friends, nothing will win each and every time when you do that. Real permanent change when it comes to that comes not from dieting, but really from small changes that you work on, and build healthy habits, and over time that leads to bigger results. So instead of focusing on a diet, think of it as more like I'm on a healthy eating program. Now, let's be honest, it's pretty much the same thing. We know it, you know it, I know it. But really, what happens is you tend to stick to it more because you don't feel deprived because you're on a healthier lifestyle as opposed to a diet. I've seen it time and time again when people start changing that mindset with it. Huge, huge improvement in sticking to it. Number 3, opting for meal replacements over real food. Meal replacements are bars, shakes, you name all that crap. And to be blunt, these things piss me off. Those of you that know me and have been with us for a while know that it pisses me off. And why? Because so many people believe in it and buy into it. The marketing on it is unbelievable. They're very good at their marketing. And when you look at the numbers, the supplement industry, as it's known as, we're talking tens of billions of dollars a year that people pay in for these things. Who is the supplement industry? You may not know that. Things like Herbalife, remember that one? Advocare, Slim Fast, Atkins, Thrive, Beachbody. The list can go on and on and on and on and on. Add in, the raspberry ketones and Garcinia cambrosias and all that crap. Every single one of them tells you the same thing. Ours is the perfect thing, and it's going to get the weight off and keep it off. Well, they can't all be right. The truth of the matter is they're all wrong. There's no regulation by the FDA over the supplement industry. They usually don't step in until there's been issues like deaths and so on and so forth. And when you look at the studies that the salespeople use, and that's what they call themselves coaches, but they're really salespeople. They're fast to quote those studies. The thing is, when you actually read the studies, and I've read more than my share, they're actually paid for by the companies that are promoting a particular product. And I mean, it's phony science, guys. I hate to tell you that. So, that whole have two shakes and a meal sensible thing, that stuff doesn't work. If it did, trust me, everyone would have done it, and everyone would have lost tens of thousands and millions of pounds. You know, and think about it. Do you really want to have 2 shakes for 2 of your meals every day for the rest of your life? That's not living. Wouldn't you rather have real foods that you like? You got to eat them in the right amount, but yeah, that's better than a can of whatever. Now, to be fair, the occasional meal replacement is fine. I use them. I have used bars. I have used shakes. but I don't spend hundreds of dollars a month. Recently, I was talking with someone. She had amazing success with us. And then one of the Advocare people got to her, and she spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars buying those products. Not only has she put weight back on, she weighs more now than when she started. And she's miserable, and she's beating herself up. Why? Why did she do that? Because she bought into that mythology behind it. And as I said, the occasional meal replacement is fine. There's times I get crunched and I do it. But as I said, I don't spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on it. I have my own super shakes that I make, some of which I've talked about. There's, if you go into the Facebook groups, we have some of the recipe guides. Think about stuff like that. You don't want to spend tons of dollars on something in a can. You can make your own. It's not that hard, and it'll save you a ton of money. And when you're looking at things like Energy Fizzes or Spark, all they really are is caffeine and sugar, kids. Have a cup of coffee and make it with Kool-Aid, and you'll get the same effect. All right, moving on. Number 2, skipping meals to lose weight. Now, this one's a big one, and I see it a lot. Probably pretty close. I would almost make this one 1A. The thought process behind it being, if I skip meals, I'm not eating those calories, and therefore I'm going to lose more weight. I'm sure more than a few of you looking at this have done exactly that. Hello, so did I. The problem with that is you end up starving. And we talked about starving a little bit before, but this is a different style. Study has shown time and again that those who skip meals don't necessarily eat less. In fact, often they eat more. My own research, having worked with, as I said, thousands of people, and my own personal experience supports this. Back in the day, I used to never eat breakfast. Half the time I didn't eat lunch. So basically, I would go from the evening before until 3 or 4 in the afternoon eating nothing. And I weighed 400 pounds. What? Yeah, that's what happens. Why? Because I knew that I wasn't going to be eating for hours and hours and hours, so I'd preload. And I would fill up on a lot of stuff. And it became a never-ending cycle, and I became a night eater. To this day, I still am a little bit. I have the tendency to. I've kind of broken the actual, but I still have a tendency that if I start thinking about it at night, especially, I want to eat more. Starve all day, feast all night type of thing. And those studies I referred to before show that, it's anywhere from 15, 20, 30% more calories consumed when you start skipping meals because you're starving, and you eat so fast to make up for it because you are starving. You're going to give your body time to register that it's full. And 30% is a lot. In my case, it was probably closer to 50%. That's not an exaggeration. And the other effect on it is you're going to slow down your metabolism, which then leads you right back down the weight gain path. So do what I did. Start with something small. It was the thought of having breakfast in the morning. It made me want to vomit. So I started with something as simple as a piece of toast with a little bit of peanut butter. That was it. And over time, I started adding more and more, and I found, I had more energy, felt better, and so on and so forth. And now, pretty much breakfast, or at least the morning, is when I eat most of my food. And it helps sustain me through the day. I know I feel fuller through the day. I'm not binging at night. I'm not grabbing that bowl of ice cream at 9 o'clock at night, or my go-to was a huge bowl of cereal every single night. We're talking 1,000 calories just in that bowl. All right, moving on. The number one big one that I see a lot of people buying into, especially more so lately in the last, I'll say 3 to 5 years, it's really starting to take off, and it's a bad thing, which is the you can't eat insert bad thing of the month or week or day. Comes up all the time. I hear it here pretty much every single day. For decades it was you can't eat fat. Fat was going to make you, fat. The current one is carbs. Carbs are evil. They're going to kill you. They're going to make you sick. I can't eat carbs. I do not eat carbs. I will not eat carbs. I'll never eat bread again, so on and so forth. You've said it, most of you. As I talked about not too long ago with some of the groups, is last week on Flakebook, I read an article that said too much protein will kill you. And what they really meant by too much protein was any protein. So they eliminated all 3 of the macronutrients. And then you add things like cutting out gluten, dairy, fruit, that these nutrition experts tell you you shouldn't be eating. You don't know what to do. And here's the facts with that stuff. It's true that overindulging on any one of those, too much fat, too much carbs, too much protein, is not a good thing. And you really shouldn't be doing that. It's about eating in balance. And when you eliminate something, say dairy, gluten, whatever, you're putting your body in a stressful situation because it's looking not only for those macronutrients, the carbs, protein, and fats, that it needs to be healthy, but the vitamins and minerals that go along with them. They're essential, folks, and you can get them through pills, but that's not really the right way to do it. You want to get it through real food. And, there are exceptions to it. There's celiacs, lactose intolerance, diabetes. Yeah, you do need to adjust for that. And if you have one of those, you shouldn't be taking your nutrition advice from Jane Doe, the office worker down the street who's going to sell you her new miracle shake. You should be talking with a registered dietitian, a nutritionist, at least a certified nutrition coach. Someone who knows what they're talking about, not someone whose day job is something and is selling stuff on the side. And again, it really, really does come down to eating real foods in the right amounts, spacing it out throughout the day. I like to eat every 2 to 4 hours myself. I don't eat huge meals. Occasionally I do, like at our picnic yesterday. But the point is, by doing that, you keep your metabolism revving up. You never feel hungry. You're not going to binge, and so on and so forth. So what do you want to do? You want to start by making small changes. If you don't eat breakfast, have something. Talk a little bit about that. If your idea of a lunch is an energy fizz with a canned shake, make a damn sandwich. Get some whole grain bread. I'm going to do a separate video on that shortly with some good lean protein and some veggies on the sandwich. If your idea is a plate of lettuce, add some of the lean protein, some fresh veggies, healthy fat like an avocado, something like that. The point I'm trying to make with all this, folks, is just stop buying into these myths because they're not helping you. If you want to lose weight, if you want to feel better, if you want to be happier, healthier, have more energy, reject these myths because none of them are true. It's about eating real food in the right amounts. It's that simple. And trust me, if you start doing that, it won't take long. It's actually pretty rapid. A couple of weeks, you'll start feeling better. You'll have more energy. You'll actually be shocked at the difference. And then when you go and indulge in something that's not good for you, you're going to feel like crap, and it's going to really be noticeable to you. So again, focus on real foods in the right amounts. Small changes. Don't try and just do it overnight. Most people don't succeed when they do that. And when you do, you'll feel yourself being healthier, happier, and you'll notice it in your waistline. So give those a try, folks. Hopefully this is helpful to you, and have a great day.